Welcome to Brainstorm MTG. I'm ELD, and this is Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering. Here we've got Legacy from Scholars Games on our Wednesday night weekly series. I'm on Tin Fins versus Dylan. I believe he was on Maverick. We'll see. Sometimes you'll note the names of my opponent's decks are wrong in the video because I'm just taking my best guess when I set up the stream. I don't get any extra information there. I am actually keeper of the stream. In the future, perhaps we'll have somebody manning that. Then we have perfect information, but it is a little bit of fun in that I'm kind of taking early plays based off of what I think my opponent's on. Birds of Paradise does look like Maverick was the right call. A couple of fetch lands there, Lotus Petal, some acceleration on both sides of the board here. Grabbing non-basics for Tin Fins, the Bayou and the Scrubland. And it's going to be Living Wish. And that's going to grab Griselbrand. A lot of ways to get him into the graveyard. We'll see how this goes. Maze of Ith into Thalia. So Thalia, a bit of a bump in the road here. That's kind of a pain. Does make it difficult to repeatedly combo out. Some real difficulty here so far. Maybe time to audible into the backup plan of Dark Depths, making a Merit Lage, either Vampire Hexmage or Thespian Stage. Turbo Depths just putting up a great finish in the Eternal Championships in Europe, I hear. I haven't had a chance to take a look at the lists yet. It is really fun to see some of these kind of crazy legacy decks putting up results. And some real decisions here. It looks like I could Dark Ritual out some type of reanimation. Get some card drawing going. Drawing 7 very often will cure what ails you. So Dark Ritual goes from 3 to 4 mana, now 2 mana left floating. Entomb, grabbing Griselbrand. And then with the remaining 2, Exhuming, grabbing Griselbrand. So that's certainly a form of stabilizing here against Dylan. Going to be tough to swing into Griselbrand. Just 2 cards left. Tracking his fetch. He's been experimenting with a lot of different builds of Maverick. I believe a bit of an underrated deck in the format. And Green Sun Zenith grabbing Gaddock Teague. Very interesting here. That's going to shut off his other Green Sun Zeniths. But really nothing for me that I can think of. Almost certainly looking at this as a traditional Tin Fins list that would be using Dark Ritual and Tendrils of Agony. And that Thespian Stage is going to really let the cat out of the bag here. Another Lotus Petal. And Thoughtseize, seeing Mother of Runes, Stoneforge Mystic, and Scribsprite. Leaving him with just Scribsprite after that Cabal Therapy. So we have ourselves a game. Maze of Ith is going to be able to hold off Griselbrand. Dark Depths about to come down next turn. Dylan down to just Scrib Rangers in hand. He's going to need a really good draw off the top, I think. And just going to main phase that Scrib Rangers. And there it is, Dark Depths. So going to be Happy to trade Thespian Stage and Dark Depths in for a 2020 Merit Lage token. Still going to take a little while to clear the way, though. Got a couple of flyers as blockers. One of those flyers now generating mana. See what he does with this. Tapping, untapping. I don't know what this could be. Oh no, and it's Green Sun Zenith. Teague is not gonna allow for that. Oh, little misplay there from Dylan there, forgetting about his own Teague. That is problematic. So he's got drew a brick for turn. It looks like Thalia is the other card. So going to be swinging with both a 2020 and a Griselbrand. It seems really grim, but Dylan not totally out of it yet. His deck almost certainly does play Karakas. Well, he's going to have to most likely block the 2020 and May's Griselbrand. Letting me gain 7 life is quite terrible. And he does come to that conclusion. A couple more swings here before Griselbrand starts gaining life. Ooh, and Knight of the Reliquary. That is a super live draw here. That's going to be able to both tutor up Karakas and set an actual clock. That is extremely, extremely good draw. And there's the Children going into the graveyard. That was the draw right there. Both of these guys swinging. Same game as last time. A little bit of card advantage in getting rid of these chump blockers, but that is not the type of card advantage you're looking for when you play Tin Fins. You want to be drawing, you know, your entire deck, not just chipping away, one-upping people. Here is a Vampire Hexmage. So even if Karakas is found here, I'm going to be able to swing with both. Wow, this is a really complicated situation. So both Merit Lage and Griselbrand are going to be effectively handled here by the Knight of the Reliquary if he runs Karakas. Looks like an end step that Bayou is going to turn into. And there it is. That is going to bounce the 2020 token. Very interesting situation now. Shallow Grave could really complicate the matters, giving a hasty Griselbrand out of nowhere. So realistically going to be looking for a lot to happen. Going to need Dylan to make some type of significant misplay here. But it is Legacy. It's a very complicated format. That is definitely a possibility. Just got to play toward your outs here. So paying the 1. Not sure what that was. Perhaps thinking about an Unmask. So just sending with Griselbrand, Mazavith being used there. Now one of the Other problem uses of Mazavith is being able to untap your own Knight of the Reliquary. Be able to give him a type of vigilance. So that may be a little too cute in this situation, facing down two of the best creatures in the game. And Swords to Plowshares on Griselbrand. Very interesting here. 14 life now. So the next Griselbrand that comes down will actually be able to draw some cards. So Mazavith and Karakas are both up. Shallow Grave in hand. Looks like he's untapping. Oh, we're going to resolve first strike damage here. So Teague is out of there. Maze untaps there. So it looks like now's the time to make a 20/20. There's only one card. Well, I guess the Knight might be able to find another Maze. Let me know what you would do in the comments there. Do you go for it, making a 20/20 end of turn and then attempt to Shallow Grave Griselbrand? Or do you just stay the course here? Lion's Eye Diamond. It does appear that if there's not a second Mazavith, that would have been probably lethal. And Mathalia's still on board. Drawing a whole lot of Green Sun Zeniths. That may have been the opening. It'll be interesting to see. Oh, and Knight of the Reliquary. Gonna go ahead and target Dark Depths. Yeah, there's not a lot of ways out of this. Karakas is a huge problem. Maze not as big a problem, because you can at least sit behind a 20/20 or a Griselbrand. And there's a Wasteland. Sending with both. Vampire Hexmage could trade with Thalia, but we've already seen other Thalias in hand. That could get Dylan to tap off his mana. So blocking Thalia here, if that Wasteland becomes tapped, then Thespian Stage could copy it. And then Thespian Stage could be used as a Wasteland to blow up the Karakas, and that would be a very interesting turn of events. Will he tap off of it, though? How many mazes? Oh, the shields are down. Wow. What a crazy, crazy turn of events. The Wasteland on Karakas. Shallow Grave. Respond LED, gonna get 3 black. That's gonna get a Griselbrand in here. Would have been great if it was Entomb. Exhume, I mean. But here, gonna get the 7 cards. Let's see what else can be done about this. Hexmage plus Dark Depths would be fantastic in this situation. That would be like the most punishment that you could have. Exhume. Grabbing Children. Keeping the dream alive here. But that Thalia making it really tough. Gonna draw 7 more. Or gain 7 life. Teague comes back off of that Exhume. But again, he really doesn't impact our plan at all. I've not played a land. It's probably the end of the road here. All right, well, that is the end of game one. Crazy game, right on the edge there. Not sure if perhaps the Shallow Grave should have been used during Dylan's turn as a sneak attack blocker. That definitely could have been a possibility. Could have forced Maze of Ith to be used, and all sorts of different crazy things could have happened. But that guaranteed drawing 7 cards is likely the best chance of victory. I don't know. It's a really complicated game state. But 35-minute game one, very unusual. That's why we do them at double speed. It really takes a bit of the sting out of players going into the tank. With some real difficult decisions in that match, in that game. Not a whole lot to really worry about in terms of sideboard here. Pithing Needle, a totally reasonable option, stopping both Karakas, Maze of Ith, and Wasteland. The Silent Gravestones don't appear to be necessary as we didn't see Deathrite Shaman. Don't think Dylan's actually on that card. Not that it would be a bad fit for this type of deck. Very often is played in it. He's already playing the black and certainly has plenty of green. But we'll see if that's actually in his list. Deathrite Shaman, a real problem for this type of deck. Of course, you can still go around it with the 2020 plan. And there are plenty of times where you're faster than Deathrite Shaman, particularly when on the play. But all the same, Graveyard Disruption is something to be wary of with this deck. And all sorts of ways to win this game. It looks like Entomb, Dark Depths, Exhume, combos coming from every different angle. We'll see which one it ends up being. Fetch, Entomb. Again, Dylan leading out on Birds of Paradise. And Lotus Petal, Bayou, another fetch land. And there it is, Shallow Grave for Griselbrand. You take the 7 or the bird takes the 7 either way. It's going to be a lot of cards drawn here. So 3 sets of 7, that's 21. If you do decide to pick up a deck like this, I am a fan of keeping track of the total number of Griselbrand activations with 1 die, and then the other incremental life loss with another. Just kind of makes it a little bit easier. So 3 activations with Griselbrand, plus a fetch. So at that point, you'd be looking at 22. And it looks like Children just going to get cast here. A ton of Dark Rituals. Actually just going to Thoughtseize the Children. A little bit more beneficial to have a ton of black mana instead of just the singleton white mana. This is the safer line in case I don't draw any more Lotus Petals. This is almost guaranteed to be a win. Of course, the other side of this is I do need a Lotus Petal for green for the Living Wish. Whereas the other way, I'd have to draw Lotus Petal for black and Lotus Petal for green. So a little bit more conservative, but regardless, Children coming in, gaining, going back up to 50, and that's going to be plenty enough to draw the entire deck. Here we go, Living Wish, Tracking Lines, Eye Diamond for blue. And there's the Lab Man. Just a couple more activations, and that'll earn the check mark for game number 2. Going on to game 3 here. Dylan will be on the play. See if he has the Hate to Stop, the Reanimation, or the 2020, and see what Infins throws at the board in terms of threats. It can really come from either direction. They're both equally dangerous, or both certainly capable of closing out games. Perhaps the Griselbrand plan a little bit scarier just because of how much happens before you die. Either way, you're probably dead, but a guy turning sideways does feel a little bit better than your opponent drawing their entire deck and killing you with a junk rare. Here we go. See what type of hands we've got. Anything keepable? See Urborg, Entomb, Exhume. I mean, that looks like a fantastic hand on the Tin Fin side, particularly when you're not playing against counter magic, which is a surprising amount of the time in Legacy. I think a lot of people who are not familiar with the format kind of think almost everything is running Force of Will, and there's just all of these counter spells running around. But the reality is, this is a huge percentage of the metagame which is not on Force of Will. You're talking about Maverick, Death and Taxes, Dragon Stompy, Black-Red Reanimator. I mean, there's no shortage of decks that don't actually have Force of Will, which are either looking to race you or put on-board permanents to stop you from winning. And in a case like this, it's just nice to know that the shields are down. I think Infin's in a really good position against the decks that are not running counter magic, just because of how explosive it is and how much ability it has to play around those type of onboard threats. Things like Aethersworn Canonist compared to, say, Storm or Sneak and Show, which could struggle a bit more versus those type of cards. Typically, those are going to require you to use some of your counter magic to make sure that your combos still function. Here can still make a 20/20, or just go ahead and get that Griselbrand in play and force Dylan to have an answer. And taking a look, could just cast the Hexmage. That would be a totally reasonable line. And instead just going to get back the Griselbrand, also reasonable. Now only going to be able to play Lotus Petals and Lion's Eye Diamonds from here on out, having already played the Exhume. Oh, we'll see. There's the Children. Well, definitely not going to be able to continue the combo as long as Aethersworn Canonist is there. And going to discard here. They're all going to go to the graveyard at the same time. The sculpting down to a 7-card hand. I don't see a Dark Depths in hand. So just really relying on the Thespian Stage and Vampire Hexmage in hand. And there's Thalia and Wasteland. So no backup plan there. Discarded both of the other Dark Depths. So that's interesting. Perhaps a little short-sighted there. Because could have just had a 20/20 right now. With either Thespian Stage or Vampire Hexmage. And there's the Sylvan Safekeeper. That card should be able to do a lot of work here. Again, it would be much better if Dark Depths was in hand. Ooh, and another Wasteland. Trying to cut off the green, but those Lotus Petals are going to make sure Sylvan's still going to come in. Thespian Stage. Sylvan Safekeeper. 7 damage. So one more swing here. Kind of going the slow, methodical route with Griselbrand, thanks to both Thalia and Aethersworn Canonist. But Sylvan Safekeeper going to be able to dodge the next 2 bullets that Dylan could possibly fire, even if he has Karakas and Swords to Plowshares. Green Sun Zenith for 1. Due to the Thalia. Gets a Birds. It's a blocker. there's still some hope. Nice heads-up play there from Dylan for not just throwing in the towel, but it's a grim situation. Oh, and it looks like we're actually in time here. I see the timer has expired. See if Dylan can actually pull out a draw. Drawing a land. And that is it. So it looks like turn 5, Griselbrand getting in there for the win. That was an unusual match for Tinfins and showed a lot of resiliency for Maverick. That's all for this one. If you enjoyed the video, please help grow the channel by subscribing. You'll be notified when we upload new videos like Fast Effect, Double Speed Magic with commentary, or Untapped, our raw tournament gameplay. Thanks for watching.